Smith and Sway.
Get your perfect entertaining start to the day.
At 9 a.m. every weekday morning with
Mahima's Good Morning
Bay.
Good morning, Bay. आप सभी लोग हमारी तरफ से एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते,
नमस्कार.
वनकम,
नमस्कारा.
खुशामदीद,
Assalamu alaikum.
सत श्री अकाल,
మీకు అందరికీ వందనము.
जय स्वामी नारायण,
जय श्री कृष्ण.
जय जिनेंद्र.
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं को बोल दे याली मदद.
मोलाली मदद बोलते हैं सारे फीजी में बदला बोल के नीसा बुला बन जान. हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारे. मैं से फालतू बाबा.
And of course myself फालतू रानी लेकर आपके लिए एक और drive time show that's going to make it totally exciting and totally मस्तानी बंद जानी.
And of course हमारे सारे फेसबुक पे जाने वाले बंधु लोगों को बोलेंगे गुड मॉर्निंग. विनायक प्रभु जी, गुड मॉर्निंग टू यू. हाउ यू गाइस डूइंग? एंड यस, थैंक यू फॉर जॉइनिंग अस इन द मॉर्निंग. या मॉर्निंग शो तो पैम पैम नहीं होता, लेकिन शाम में तो पैम पैम जरूर होता है 5 बजे को बन लाइव. एंड राइट नाउ लेट मी टेल यू, आज गुड मॉर्निंग बे पे व्हाट यू गोइंग टू शेयर विद यू गाइस, व्हाट्स हैपनिंग अराउंड द वर्ल्ड, इंक्लूडिंग व्हाट्स हैपनिंग लोकली बन. Speaking of locally, why not I start off this saga right up with our traffic update of what's happening on the roads. Yeah, people are getting back to work, right? So let's see what's happening on the roads. रास्ते का हाल हम लोग देते हैं आप लोगों को सस्ते में.
It's time for the Bandu Traffic Update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
Alright, Bajan, Alabama County में बहुत सारी चीज़ हो रही है वहाँ पे. Lot of things happening over there in Oakland area, especially the traffic accident on 580 westbound entering at the Park Boulevard in Oakland. The left lanes are blocked over there. Seems there's a huge congestion in that region, Bajan. Staying in the Oakland area again, there's an accident on 880 northbound south of the 980 in Oakland. So the left lane is blocked over there, so watch out for that. Going over the bridge Panjan, San Francisco के आसपास में Mariposa Street in San Francisco. There seems to be some kind of a traffic hazard on 280 northbound there. Watch out for that. And coming down south from 101, I should say that there also is an accident reported on northbound 101 south of Silva Avenue in San Francisco. The left lane is affected out there, Burjam. Now, most of it to that side, but coming down further towards Redwood City, there's actually the traffic accident on 101 southbound north of Whipple Avenue. In Redwood City, not much of impact on traffic because on southbound 101, but of course, watch out for that area in that region. Just CHP reported of a collision with injuries on 880 southbound at North First Street in San Jose. The left lane is blocked over there. Watch out for that. It seems to be creating a lot of issues for people traveling towards North First Street from 880 Banjam. That's again city areas, you probably have to watch out for that region. That's all is in terms of incidents happening around the local area in terms of roads and everything. Banjam, the volume of traffic actually slowly increasing right now. If you look at the volume of clouds in the skies, thoda bahut cloudy hai. It'll burn off, Banjan, don't worry. In fact, we don't have any rain forecasted for this week. It only happened yesterday, and it was good that it happened yesterday because finally Fatuni was able to get her car washed.
Really?
What? Isn't that what happens when you actually... You told me you conserve water, you don't want to... She's an environmentalist, I believe. She says that going for car washes and all is not advisable thing. So let nature do the thing, right, Faltwani?
No, Alto Baba, I don't necessarily say that.
You don't say it, but she actually follows it, actually. Very, very strictly she follows it. Suddenly I saw her driving a nice, neat car without dust on top of it. No?
What nonsense.
But anyway, good thing you have a white car, Faltwani. We can't make out so much of dust on it anyways. But good thing it rained also because a lot of things... I like it when it rains. I'm a person who likes rains. But again, this week, no rains. Don't worry about that. Probably weekend, chances are there, but still just, cloudy. No chances of rain as such. Don't worry about that. And that was your update of what's happening with the traffic locally, Barjan. A quick look at what's happening local news. Faltoni, do you have anything for us?
You want the headlines or the detailed news?
Let's jump into the headlines, Faltoni, and come back with details news for our bandus later on. So here you go, Barjan. This is what's happening on today in the news, US locally and also in the US. Right, Faltoni?
Yeah.
Take it away.
There's a Reuters exclusive that's coming up in the Jan. Before Jan 6, the FBI apparently collected information from at least 4 Proud Boys. So they were anticipating something with regard to that. So an investigative report has been released by Reuters. We'll share information on that shortly. There's also news that's coming out about the US capital gains tax hike, which is actually looming. The wealthy are looking for ways now to soften that blow. Remember, tax day is coming up as well. For many US college Republicans, it's time to move on from Trump, is what they're saying. So More on that coming up shortly. US Supreme Court takes a major case on carrying concealed weapons. They have that concealed carry. So this case is being discussed right now. In the Bay Area, Banajan, there's been a series of earthquakes actually. One earthquake, magnitude 2.6, struck near Berkeley, according to the latest USGS report. Also, there was an earthquake, a 3.6 magnitude earthquake that's just struck north of Morgan Hill yesterday. And schools in San Francisco and Santa Rosa are going to be opening for in-person learning. More on that coming up shortly.
And all that and more coming right up, Bajan. Aapko bata dun, right now what we're going to go into is the Ganika Kida. I've lined up for you guys, Bajan. This Ganika Kida is from this movie which I have not seen, but I got wonderful reviews of it from Faltoni also, saying that's very worthwhile. But the one thing is there for sure, his film mein gaane achhe hai, Bajan. And एक गाना है जो मैं रोज लगाता हूँ, मतलब quite often लगाता हूँ, but this is a song which I have not played much about. It's called Banjara from the movie Chef. Voice of Raghu Dixit Banujan, Vishal Dadlani ka composition. Oh no, I'm sorry, the other way around. ये गाना और बजेगा पंजाब लोग के लिए फॉर श्योर, डोंट वरी. गाना कीड़ा तो गाना कीड़ा काफी दफा बजेगा, एटलीस्ट ट्वाइस और थ्री टाइम्स विल ट्राई टू प्ले बनजान. एंड ये गाना जो है इज एक्चुअली अ सॉन्ग व्हिच एक्चुअली इज रिटन बाय अंकुर तिवारी and Ankur Tiwari, and music is by Raghu Dixit, and again song, the singer and the voice is not Raghu Dixit, the voice is Vishal Dadlani. I think I told the first time correctly, Manujam. So we'll get the song later on, but Abhi ke liye go back and ask Faltwani, how about some more detail about the news, Faltwani?
What was that, Altavama?
That was my impression of Ranjit.
Jeevan.
Yeah. See? You can identify. Faltwani. Thoda hamare news, part of the Faltwani.
From the Radio Dihari studios right here in the Silicon Valley, where you will have your anchors who are supposed to be your news and your drive time anchors pull on really ridiculous, sad imitations of bygone Hindi film actors.
Hey, talent is I am the top from the bottom, so I'm the worst ever impression of anybody for the matter. That's my talent, yeah, Faltwani.
Here are the headlines. Not the headlines, the news in detail. Among the far-right groups whose members are suspected of planning the Jan 6th attack on the US Capitol are the Proud Boys. In March, the FBI director told the Senate Judiciary Committee that he absolutely wished the agency had penetrated the group beforehand or knew its plans. I do not consider what happened on Jan 6 to be an acceptable result, Director Christopher Wray had said. We have focused very, very hard right now on how we can get better sources, better information, and better analysis. The FBI had deeper insight into the group than Wray disclosed, however. Now, this is the investigative part that Reuters did. Bureau agents maintained connections with key Proud Boys leaders starting as early as 2019, a Reuters examination has found. At least 4 Proud Boys have provided information to the FBI, Reuters learned. Often, these leaders were sharing intelligence about Antifa, a loose movement of left-wing activists opposed by former President Donald Trump and right-wing media. The connections between the Proud Boys and the FBI do not mean the agency had thoroughly penetrated the far-right group, but some law enforcement veterans say the ties show the agency could have done more to prepare for the deadly Jan 6th uprising, which sought to overturn the election of Democrat Joe Biden as president. So you can get more information about that. It is a pretty explosive news story, Banajan, and you can get information about that on MediaMahima.com. Wealth advisors are counseling clients to max out their retirement accounts, park gains in tax-deferred opportunity zone funds, and even sell some assets to avoid being clobbered by a potential U.S. capital gains tax hike. The White House will this week propose nearly doubling taxes on capital gains to 39.6% for people earning more than $1 million. Reuters and other media outlets have reported on this in what would be the highest tax rate on investment gains since the 1920s. Any changes will be hard fought in Congress, where Democrats hold a slim majority, and the final tax rate will likely be lower than the White House's opening salvo. But if a deal can be reached, the new tax rate could come into effect this year. Wealthy Americans have deluged their advisors and accountants with calls for advice on how to avoid being caught by the potential increase. When a majority of Cornell University's Republican club voted to endorse President Donald Trump in the 2020 election, many of its moderate members left the group. After Joe Biden won and the club leader Weston Barker wrote an op-ed in the school newspaper urging people to accept the Democrat as the legitimately elected president, pro-Trump members defected. The club remains deeply divided months later, Barker said, with its members, like Republicans nationally, split on the best path forward as the party looks to regain some power in the next year's midterm congressional elections. While Trump still remains popular among Republicans of all ages, he lost support in the last year's election from white, college-educated voters. In recent interviews, members and leaders of a dozen Republican clubs on U.S. campuses said fresh leadership and a wider embrace of issues such as fighting climate change are key to the future of the party. They will help mold for decades to come. Trump ran a campaign and lost, and they personally believe that the party needs to move on, said Joseph Pitts, the president of the Republican Club at Arizona State University. So college-educated Republicans are moving on. Why are we sharing this news item, Bandajan? Well, that's because there is a bid that's going to happen in the 2024 elections, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's planning to run again.
No, it's not going to be him. It's going to be probably Jenner.
Who's Jenner? Oh no, Jenner is running for state governor.
But it'll become president of America. He'll be the first. She'll be the first transgender president of America.
Okay.
Yay! 74 years old, man. Can you imagine?
Oh God. 71, not 74.
Oh, you're keeping track?
Yeah. The U.S. Supreme Court stepped back in the heated debate over guns rights on Monday, agreeing to hear a challenge backed by the National Rifle Association to New York State's restrictions on people carrying concealed handguns in public in a case that could further undermine firearms control efforts nationally. The justices took up an appeal by two gun owners and the New York affiliate of the NRA, an influential gun rights group closely aligned with the Republicans, of a lower court ruling throwing out their challenge to the restrictions on concealed handguns outside the home. In local news, Banajan, Bay Area news, the Bay Area Indian community has come together hoping to help India fight the COVID-19 surge. As India grapples with the staggering rise in new coronavirus infections, President Joe Biden's administration announced Sunday that it will immediately offer relief. During the weekend, India set another global record for daily cases. We'll bring you details about that shortly. Doctors said that loosening restrictions, public complacency, and emerging variants are contributing to the surge in India. And also, as I mentioned before, preliminary 2.6 magnitude earthquake struck early Monday morning near Berkeley, according to the United States Geological Survey. The quake centered about 2.6 miles southeast of Berkeley, hit at about 4:45 a.m. And also, a 3.6 magnitude earthquake struck northeast of San Jose. According to the USGS, the quake hit about 9:59 p.m. and was centered just north of Morgan Hill, the USGS said. It was first reported as a 3.6 magnitude earthquake, but USGS says actually it was supposedly initially reported as 3.9, but the USGS has downgraded it to a 3.6. Those were the headlines from the United States and across the world, across the Bay Area.
Across the Bay Area, Banjan, yes, you can catch all this information on our news blog, mediamahima.com, if at all you missed out any of those, Banjan. But abhi ke liye, Banjan, quick back, let's go back to our Ganika Key that's lined up for you guys. From the movie Chef, Banjan, the voice of Ankur, in the lyrics by Ankur Tiwari, and also music by Raghu Dikshit, sung by Vishal Dadhani. Song from the movie Chef for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed playing the song. I like the song a lot. Banjan talks about somebody's journey, somebody actually taking on life and going on with journey. Banjan, a very motivational song if at all you pay attention to it. Lekin abhi ke liye Banjan, pay attention to what's going up right now because it's going to be the world news. Faltwani, you're going to share the news directly with us or what you're going to do?
Yes, Alta Baba.
Go ahead, take it away, please.
Activists opposed to the Myanmar's military junta called on people to stop paying electricity bills and agricultural loans starting Monday and to keep their children away from school, raising new doubts about a bid by a regional bloc to end the post-school crisis. Scattered protests took place in Myanmar's big cities on Sunday, a day after Senior General Min Aung Hlaing reached an agreement at a summit of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, the ASEAN as it is called, in Indonesia on steps to bring peace. The junta chief did not submit to calls for the release of political prisoners, including the leader of the ousted civilian government Aung San Suu Kyi, and the ASEAN Accord lacked any timeline for ending the crisis. So now they're calling for non-cooperation by not paying bills and not sending children to schools. The European Commission said on Monday that it had launched legal action against AstraZeneca for not respecting its contract for the supply of COVID-19 vaccines and for not having a reliable plan to ensure timely deliveries. AstraZeneca said in response that the legal action by EU was without merit and pledged to defend itself strongly in court. According to the contract, the Anglo-Swedish company had committed to making its best reasonable efforts to deliver 180 million vaccine doses to the EU in the second quarter of this year for a total of 300 million in the period from December to June. Indian hospitals have been swamped by the coronavirus as countries promise aid. India ordered its armed forces on Monday to help tackle surging new coronavirus infections that are overwhelming hospitals as countries, including Britain, Germany, and the United States, have pledged to send urgent medical aid. In a meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat said oxygen would be released to hospitals from armed forces reserves, and retired medical military personnel would join COVID-19 health facilities. And where possible, military medical infrastructure will be made available to civilians, a government statement said, as new coronavirus infections hit a record peak for a fifth day. Air, rail, road, and sea, heaven and earth are being moved to overcome challenges thrown up by this wave of COVID-19, Health Minister Harshvardhan said on Twitter. Modi on Sunday urged all citizens to please get vaccinated and to exercise caution amid what he called a storm of infections, while hospitals and doctors in some northern states posted urgent notices saying that they were unable to cope with the influx. Also, Modi cancelled his campaign visits in Bengal to deal with the COVID-19 relief meetings. Also, Bandujan, coronavirus, the WHO is saying that the situation in India is beyond heartbreaking. In the highest single day spike, India reported 3,52,991 COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours, taking the case tally to 1,73,13,163, while 2,812 people died of the virus, taking the death toll to 1,95,123. Amid an oxygen crisis, 318 oxygen concentrators arrived at Delhi airport from the US. And also, India is saying that the issue is not with regard to the oxygen supply, but it's more with regard to the transportation, according to the government. The centre on Monday appealed to people to not panic and assured that India has enough supply of medical oxygen, but the issue is the transportation. They're trying to resolve that by active involvement of all stakeholders. Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs Piyush Goyal told a press conference. There's absolutely no need to panic for oxygen as we are trying to resolve this issue. And of course, Banajan, as I mentioned, what did they say? Rail, air, everything is being moved to make this happen. And also in some update with regard to the Indo-Pak ties, after a tense relationship that lasted over 2 years, India and Pakistan have activated some back-channel contacts to ease the tensions. The daily firings on the LOC have stopped following the agreement between the DGMOs of the two countries. Pakistani Army Chief General Bajwa has also made some remarks aimed at lowering tensions between the neighbors. However, analysts say that for substantial progress in ties, Pakistan will have to scale back the demand for undoing the revocation of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir. In other news from India's neighbors, Bandajan, China is stoking US-India tensions over Biden's slow coronavirus aid. So what China is doing, with the US dragging its feet in offering India help to combat the world's worst virus crisis, China is moving to drive a wedge between the democratic security partners. In a barrage of editorials, political cartoons, and social media posts in recent days, the Communist Party-backed Global Times newspaper blasted the US for failing to provide aid while calling on India to improve ties with Beijing. Highlighting the desperate situation in Delhi, where hospitals and crematoriums are overwhelmed, it suggested that India can't rely on the US. So that's the updates that we have from across the world, Altavara.
Wonderful, wonderful. And of course, Bajan, right now we go. Again, we'll tell you what's happening in tech world. Family House news source in tech world.
Not really. I'm going to pull that up right now, Altu Baba.
Here's what you're going to do, Bajan. Let me tell you one thing. Today is the Monday. It's the 2 days after we had the wonderful event of Pragnya at our studios on Saturday. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful event it was. And thank you everybody who actually put this together. It was not the grown-ups, it was the youth allies of Pragnya who actually chose to do this at our studio. It generally was something championed by the Pragnya Club in Milpitas High School, and all the kids who were part of the Milpitas Club, Milpitas High School, since they don't have in-person classes, or it's still sporadic in terms of them going into school, wanted to have this event anyways because April marks the neurodiversity awareness month for them, so they wanted to make sure they can send a message of acculturation. We had a wide range of performers come in and showcase their talent, starting from people who did magic shows to people who are rapping, creative raps for Pragnya. We probably will air one of those raps on our show for sure, Baljan, because it's a wonderful rap. I like the words of that thing as well. As you know, I'm a big fan of hip-hop and any kind of music for the matter, and we'll definitely have you listen to those things as well. And apart from that, we had some really talented dancers who actually went on stage and did some dancing. Yes, though we have the thing for starting this particular thing of dancing. The ladies, Forever 21, actually they did a wonderful thing. They should actually take it global, I should say. I want them to take it global and make it like a trend across the world to start getting people to move in their chairs. Right? Because sitting at home, come on, you definitely feel you're not very thing, right? So these are wonderful dance moves you can do sitting on your chair and still getting those heart rates pumping for yourself, Baljan. If you want to get more information about that, go check out the Facebook page of Pragnya, facebook.com/Pragnya, I guess, or Pragnya for Autism. Go check it out and you can see the information over there for sure. But right now, Fandani, what do you think? Do you have some tech news for us, or do we go to Gane Kira and wrap up the shit?
No, I do have some tech news. Apple today has said that it will establish North Carolina campus that will house up to 3,000 employees, expand its operations in several other U.S. states, and also increase its spending targets with U.S. suppliers. Apple said it plans to spend $1 billion as it builds a new campus and engineering hub in the RTP area, which is the Research Triangle Park area of North Carolina, with most of the jobs expected to focus on machine learning, artificial intelligence, software engineering, and other technology fields. It joins a $1 billion Austin, Texas campus announced in 2019.
Well, speaking of Apple, Faltu, more news which Apple has successfully done. You know that?
What have they done?
Do you know about this app called Parler?
Yeah.
It came up when there were all the hoo-ha about censorship on the thing, and Parler came in with this concept, promise saying, anything flies in the place. Remember, all the conservatives are downloading Parler, wanted to go to Parler.
Right.
So now, Apple's restrictive policies on the app. So now Parler has to abide by the Apple regulations. So to remove any kind of obscene comments on Parler has to be removed, based on Apple's contract with them. So now what's happening is when you have an Apple phone and you're downloading the Parler app, offensive content will not come on your
phone.
But it'll still remain on the Parler website and also on the Android version of Parler.
Oh, wow.
Because still, unfortunately, people can download the app of Parler, need not go through the Google store, right? So the Google cannot actually implement those things, though Google have their own policies and everything.
Right.
So that's something interesting, because the GOPs are dead against it, because they're saying that, that means any liberty, what do you call them who are libertarians, is it?
The liberals.
The liberals are going to misuse what the GOP say. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Well, one other thing that Apple is doing today is that starting today, they're going to start rolling out an update of their iOS operating system with new privacy controls designed to limit digital advertisers from tracking iPhone users. For more than 1 billion iPhone users, the change will mean a new pop-up notification in some apps seeking their permission to collect data that Apple believes could be used to track their browsing habits across third-party apps and websites.
Yeah.
For businesses, the rules could bring seismic changes to the nearly $100 billion mobile advertising market if most iPhone users decline to allow data collection, though the exact impact still remains a question, according to industry experts. U.S. electric vehicle maker Tesla plans to add facilities at its Shanghai factory to repair and reproduce key components such as electric motors and battery cells, a document submitted by Tesla to Shanghai authorities show. And of course, Banijan, I would have talked to you about the Oscars, but really, it wasn't all that. And yeah, really. And the way it ended was such a flat end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't even have a hosted show, and the person who was supposed to receive the award in the end was Anthony Hopkins, and he wasn't even present.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't have a host, so there was no fanfare to end the ceremony. It just was like blah. So you get more information about all of that on MediaMahima.com. That's all we have time for. We'll be back tonight live at 5 on the Pam Pam Show. Don't forget to tune in, Banajan. We look forward to seeing you then and talking with you. Great music, Banajan, for the best in entertainment and the best in music and the hottest tracks ever. You can get it on Radio D Hotties. For more information, go to mediamahima.com.
गुमसुम तू भी खामोश है सच है समय का ही सब दोष है धड़कन धड़कन एक गम रहता है वो जाने क्यों फिर भी दिल कहता है जी ले जरा